and 1580 AM.
Devil Radio programming is produced live in the Solidarity Realty Studios. Find them at solidarityrealty.com. Solidarity Realty. There is.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. 3, 2, 1. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, Dom. Trump Announcement Tuesday.
Come on, man. Happy Tuesday to you, Evan. Back on the board, our fair audience. Welcome.
E-Bone got married.
Yeah, congratulations.
I know he's got new jewelry on his finger and everything.
Man, I'm not a ring guy either, but woof, I like it. I like it. I'm not going to take it off when I'm doing the dishes. You feel me?
I hear you, man. Congratulations.
Congratulations to the lovely Haley, Mrs. E-Bone, as she'll be known around here.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah. Congrats to both of you guys. I'll get back to work, man. We got a big show. Today also marks the glorious return to the airwaves of our pal Matt Flynn. Matt Flynn Direct, right here on the Civic Media and Devil Radio and WAUK and all across the network. Matt Flynn joining us at 4:30. Dom, he was in the mother country. He was in Sicily.
Oh, man, I'm so jealous right now. I didn't tell you. I'm going next. I'm going in April, just so you know.
Sicily?
Italy.
Matt spent his 75th birthday, a little sabbatical, in Italy. I am also very, very envious.
Totally, man.
Well, welcome back. He brought some crappy weather. Thanks, Matt.
Well, why don't you brought some cannolis?
Yeah. Leave the gun, take the cannolis, right?
Not like James Santel. Oh, by the way, Jim, my understanding will be joining us on Friday. Former U.S. attorney, friend of ours. Morning cannolis on Saturday mornings. He's going to bring us some cannolis on Friday.
Dom, there are legal updates all across the Trump prosecution spectrum.
Yes.
But, let's save the good news for later.
Yeah.
Donald Trump going to make a big announcement prime time tonight from Mar-a-Lago. And ironically, I find it ironic, Wisconsin Republicans, they're kind of walking away from the guy.
What?
On his announcement day, where, I ask you, Dom, is the loyalty? The headline here, Molly Beck and Lawrence Andrea at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. The headline, Dom, he's the past. They're talking about Trump. Did anybody tell the base the cult leader is the past?
Right now. And now you say it?
The headline goes on to say Wisconsin Republicans distance themselves from another Donald Trump candidacy. Good luck with that. It ain't about you. It's about the base. Wisconsin Republicans.
I'm sorry, Kurt. It's not about them or the base. It's about Donald Trump.
Well, of course it is. They fear the base, though. It's not actually Donald Trump. We now see that. We see so many of them turning on Trump. Suddenly they found God 6 years later.
Once they had a crappy midterm.
The vast majority of the base, they don't play the inside politics. Not in the same way, the Wisconsin GOP does. Good luck walking away.
That does not bode well for the GOP. That's in disarray, Crudy.
I see their chairman's leaving that position here. Wisconsin GOP chair Paul Farrow not running for re-election, but we'll get to that as
spend more time running for his own election in Waukesha County. I think he's the executive out there and spending time with the family, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, here is what former U.S. Speaker Paul Ryan had to say. Trump's kind of a drag on our ticket, he said to WISN TV.
He is a drag for sure.
Donald Trump gives us problems politically. We lost the House, the Senate, and the White House in 2 years when Trump was on the ballot or in office. And I think we just have some Trump hangover. Oh, you got a hangover.
Ryan. Now, there's a guy who actually could have stood up and led and fought back against all the things that are wrong with MAGA, but he didn't. He walked away, cashed out, and now he's got something to say.
Tom, specifically, he merged their agenda.
Yes.
The same Paul Ryan, and I would remind all that listen to my voice, Paul Ryan disinvited Donald Trump from the first CD. Paul Ryan served in the first CD, southeastern Wisconsin, but he disinvited him from the big hoopla, the big barbecue, because the Access Hollywood tape came out before the frickin' election. And you embraced him, for 4 years. And then you walked away, Paul Ryan, ever so courageously, to cash out for the Foxy News board. But anyways, more. Retired Republican strategist Brandon Scholes, a former chairman of the Wisconsin GOP, was more direct. Donald Trump isn't the future of the Republican Party. He's the past. More quotes, Tom. Republicans need to seriously think about what their future is going to be, because if they're going to hitch their wagon to Donald Trump, they're going to walk around the woods for a long time. Tell me if you see Hillary out there. Republicans were anticipating sweeping races up and down the tickets from November 8th midterm election as the country grapples with rising inflation under Democratic control of the White House and both houses of Congress. But the election outcome was mixed. In Wisconsin, Democrats kept the key offices of governor and attorney general through campaigns almost entirely focused on the issue of abortion. And U.S. Senator Ron Johnson narrowly won a third term. Boo. Trump is expected to announce a campaign for president today, Dom, while prominent state Republicans are tying their losses to Trump, saying his toxicity to suburban voters, especially women, is creating fundamental problems for the party.
All of a sudden, Donald Trump is turning off the women. It's not, overturning of Roe. It's not the nastiness of the embraced MAGA movement. Now it's all Donald Trump's fault. It's his fault.
Dominic, in the governor's race, Trump-endorsed candidate Tim Michels fell short of former gubernator Scotty Wanker's performance in the Milwaukee suburbs in 2018.
You're welcome.
And U.S. Rep. Scott Fitzgerald, who represents the western suburbs of Milwaukee in the 5th, was one of the earliest supporters among Wisconsin Republicans to get behind Trump in 2016. Even at one point coining the Trump train chant resembling a train's whistle. E-Bone, find the Mike Pence Trump train. We've got that. He's sort of got a beautiful alto, Dom.
Yes, he's a singing voice.
Do you have it? See if you can find it. We'll come back.
All right, while he does that, just give us a thumbs up, Evan, when you find it. On Tuesday, Crudy Fitzgerald instead focused on Trump's top competition, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
Ron DeSantimonious is who you mean.
Fitzgerald said this: "I'll just tell you this. The DeSantis thing is real. When I'm in the district, a lot of Republicans, and especially over the last couple of months, it's just been since the election. It's like the DeSantis thing is real," Fitzgerald said when asked if he is supportive of a 2024 Trump campaign. "I think if you ask a full room of Republicans right now, they may be split. I don't know where they would be, but it's kind of interesting to see that DeSantis has grabbed so much of the limelight right now."
Dominic, one time I got to directly question Scott Fitzgerald in public, post WisPolitics luncheon, if you'll recall, post Access Hollywood videotape dropping, right around the time Trump was being disinvited by Paul Ryan to the first CD barbecue. And Scott Fitzgerald, and he's got sort of a bright, shiny red nose, sort of Rudolph-like. And as I spoke to him, his cheeks started to match. They started flushing because I asked him, is there any line this man could cross and lose your support? And my takeaway that day from Scott Fitzgerald, then a state senator, now Congressman Fitzgerald, reelected Congressman Fitzgerald, his answer was effectively, no, he could do anything. Until now, Tom.
Until now. More comments from Wisconsin Republicans. U.S. Rep. Glenn Grothman. Crudy, we talked about him yesterday. Here's what he had to
Grothman?
say. Grothman, yes.
Because
I'm sure
the former president called him Grothman, and effectively that became his name for a couple of years, right? He just took the name that Trump monikered him with. Mispronounced it, so I guess I will too.
I'm sure there will be other candidates running. I'll be really interested to see what Ron DeSantis does. Also, U.S. Rep. Ryan Steil, who represents the 1st Congressional District, it's formerly Paul Ryan's, and U.S. Rep. Tom Tiffany, said they were focused on House leadership elections, avoiding the question. We're just focused on what we have to do today with leadership elections, Tiffany said. That's just 2 years out.
It's very, sorry to interrupt again. It's very, very interesting to me that Glenn Grothman, the most Trumpian congressman in the 217th Congress, I believe it was, Tom, Grothman is now all on board waiting on DeSantis. And it's probably not the 217th Congress. I think I got the math wrong. But anyways, Grothman was like the most Trumpian, declared the most Trumpian of all the U.S. congressmen. I mean, more than Louis Gohmert. And he, at 2, Glenn.
At 2, Glenn, at 2. As mentioned, Paul Farrow.
Pants. Trump. Pants.
Lovely when he says the pants.
Yes, that's Scott Fitzgerald. I guess he was just elected congressman at the point. Anyway, let's get back to the Milwaukee Journal article here. Paul Farrow, the chairman of the Republican Party of Wisconsin, he declined to comment about the party's feelings about Donald Trump in 2024. But Crudy, also from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, Bill Glauber reporting that Farrow won't run for re-election as chairman of the Republican Party in the state of Wisconsin.
Dominic, the Republican Party's in disarray.
Yeah, I've been telling you, man. Instead, Farrow said he will gear up for his 3rd term leading Waukesha County in the spring election. His successor could be chosen as early as next month. Quote, I'm going to focus the next 4 months on my election. We have a spring election cycle, so the party needs to focus on. I won't be able to split my time effectively between the two.
Dominic, I've got a little more from the wanker. Walker ran for president against Trump in the 16th cycle and exited the race in 2015 after just 71 days, right, Dom? Calling on Republicans to coalesce around another candidate. And after Trump secured the nomination and the presidency, Wanker became an outspoken supporter. Now Walker says he's holding off, pledging to do the same in 2024. Here's what Wanker says. If he is the nominee, he certainly does, but I'm not going to wait. I think he's earned the right to be in the mix. There's a lot of other people who are good friends who might be potential candidates. I'm not making a commitment until well into the future.
Man, I hope Donald Trump today during his announcement announces a 3rd party run.
Oh, that would be sweet. A little bit more. Walker thinks Trump should have supported Michaels. It would have been great for all the money he's raising if he spent some of it on Michaels. Some of these key races across the country. That didn't happen. Come back. More Devils.
If you want to go, hey, know what I mean? Know what I mean? Nuts, know what I mean? Say no more.
Got to do some grocery shopping. I'm at Wegner's, and my wife wants.
Taking your kids to their first baseball game. Getting back to the moments we miss starts with getting informed. Get the latest info about COVID-19 vaccines at getvaccineanswers.org. It's up to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
There seemingly is a willingness amongst Republicans to subvert future elections. How troubling is that to you, man?
Yeah, I think it's more than troubling. It's the core issue in the upcoming elections in 22 and 24, and it's going to be seen that way by historians. These people are out to destroy the democracy. To me, that is the linchpin issue in the upcoming election.
To what end, Matt?
Do we destroy our democracy or not?
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
You get that every time.
Reservations at your favorite restaurant.
You don't want to know why. Thanks so much for waiting. Your table's ready.
Getting back to the moments we miss starts with getting informed.
Perfect, thanks.
Get the latest info about COVID-19 vaccines at getvaccineanswers.org. It's up to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
I gotta tell you what I'm feeling inside. I could lie to myself, but it's true.
When they go low, we get high. The Devil's Advocates.
We are back from the 420 break. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines are open. We can take your calls at 844-967-2789. Our pal Matt Flynn Direct, going to join us at the bottom of the hour.
Dominic, Republicans have a theory where they went wrong in the midterms. Here's a headline at Salon. I know you posted this one, buddy. Why did single women vote for Democrats? Republicans have an asinine theory.
Yeah.
Republicans believe Democrats have brainwashed unmarried ladies who have been clearly unable to think for themselves.
That's going to get you the female vote. Keep on talking, Republicans.
Dominic, after the heavily predicted red wave of the 2022 midterms turned out to be an illusion, it was really no mystery why Republicans failed to capitalize on the political tailwinds that, according to conventional wisdom and political history, should have given them much bigger wins. Blame Donald Trump and Justice Samuel Alito for the 1-2 punch of inciting an insurrection, which some say was wildly unpopular, and overturning the right to abortion, which was highly popular. Americans, it turns out, are protective of democracy and their basic human rights, and Americans did, in huge numbers, to vote for Democrats, or more precisely, to vote against Republicans who are a threat to both. The smart thing for Republicans to do is clear enough. Stop stoking Trump election lies and scale back the tsunami of racism, sexism, and homophobia currently fueling their party.
So basically, don't be who you are, Republicans.
Change everything. But there's no chance that will happen, of course. Let's remember that Republicans also flirted with moderating their message after losing the 2012 election, only to go precisely in the opposite direction by nominating Trump in 2016. Looking inward and engaging in self-reflection is antithesis of everything the modern GOP stands for. So instead, the right is looking outward for someone besides themselves to blame, and they've landed on a favorite scapegoat. Single women. Worse, in blaming single women for their own political fate, conservatives are wallowing in a ludicrous conspiracy theory based on a premise that having an F on your driver's license renders you incapable of autonomous thought. Yes, it's true. Republicans are big mad that single women voted for Democrats, and their explanation for this is that Democrats are brainwashing those hapless, unfortunate women who don't have husbands to make their decisions for them. Here's an example, Dom. Quote,
it's terrible.
Unmarried women in America are lost, miserable, addicted to SSRIs and alcohol, racked with guilt from abortion, and wandering from partner to partner, wrote Joel Berry, managing editor of the popular right-wing site Babylon Bee. They are the Democrats' core base now, and Democrats will do everything possible to manufacture more of them. We have a factory, Dom?
Yes, a binders of women.
Dominic, Molly Hemingway, the editor-in-chief of The Federalist, was less colorful in her language, but nonetheless aired a similar claim about the massive political incentive Democrats have given to women, unmarried women. Dom, here's what she said. One of the fascinating things about our ongoing political realignment is the massive political incentive Democrats have to keep women unmarried. I can understand women's incentive to stay unmarried, Dom, because my poor wife's been at it for 20 years, and, she got the worst end of the deal, I'd like to think. But I don't.
I know, and especially coming off of overturning Roe, you know what I mean? I think you'd get the point here. Another one here, Curdy, a headline at the right-wing Washington Examiner: no one benefits more from the destruction of the American family than the Democratic Party. Also, Crudy, Andrew Torba, who runs the far-right social media site Gab, sent out a newsletter declaring that democracy is illegitimate because, quote, the godless, unmarried whores of Babylon select your leaders so they can continue to slaughter their children. And Fox News host Jesse
Wow, that's sort of a harsh assessment, Tom.
You think?
I've been accused of being blunt, but that's a little beyond blunt.
Oh, wow. It's very offensive, of course, and insulting to most people. Fox News host Jesse Waters, in the most viral example of this particular talking point, said, quote, Democrat policies are designed to keep women single, and implored male viewers to get the ladies under control. Guys, go put a ring on it. How male Fox News viewers are supposed to talk these unruly Democratic voting women into marrying them was left unexplained, although Waters has previously hinted at the usefulness of coercion when it comes to romance. While Republican politicians have generally been a bit more circumspect about their language, Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri tipped his hand on a not that subtle endorsement of this conspiracy theory, retweeting conservative Brad Wilcox, who prominently drew attention to single women's Democratic leanings, complaining that, quote, fewer adults are opening their hearts, lives, and minds to marriage and children. These accusations that Democrats are somehow preventing women from getting hitched are deliberately vague on the mechanics. Are Democrats crashing weddings and intervening when the official asks if anyone has cause to object? Are they rewriting dating app software so liberal-leaning women will only see video game addicts who refuse to leave the house? Have they forced every eligible man to leave the country? If you dig into the comments under those angry right-wing tweets, the outlines of the conspiracy theory these commentators are hinting at become a bit clearer. Reproductive rights, equal access to abortion, social welfare policies, as a side note, which are always more generous in the right-wing imagination than in real life, are routinely blamed for somehow tricking women out of marriage. The idea that Democrats use basic human rights to lure gullible young women away from their true destiny and most cherished desire, which of course is to be the dotting helpmeet of a Republican dude. Democrats, the idea goes, get women hooked on a sinister cocktail of equality and freedom, and therefore hopelessly addicted to voting for Democrats.
Dom, let me bring this piece to conclusion before we welcome Matt Flynn. As with the BitGly, this is all about Republicans telling themselves that entire groups of Americans are not legitimate voters or citizens and don't deserve a say in government. Conservatives' bitter retreat into conspiracy theory after their disappointing midterm results strongly suggest that the Republican Party has no inclination to moderate anything about its policies or messaging. Instead, we can expect the right to double down on fascistic assumption that people like them and only real Americans should get the vote. Come back, Matt Flynn, our fine guest.
Here we are, the young contender, scrappy, controversial, has an impressive reach. Devil Radio 92.7.
Do you want Wisconsin to suck? I don't. That's why you're listening to me now. I'm Hawk, owner of the Jade Monkey. Come to the Monkey and tell them you're there because the devil sent you. Then, I can spend more money on ads and help Devil Radio keep Wisconsin from spiraling into post-apocalyptic Republican suckage. I mean, that's Iowa's job. Buy a round of the Jade Monkey and save Wisconsin one drink at a time.
Suck down drinks so we don't have to suck.
Okay.
Jimmy K here for the Spaceship.tv. For those of you that know me well, you know I value my couch time. And getting out to shows, well, it's just not in the cards sometimes. Well, now the shows come to me with the Spaceship.tv. The Spaceship.tv is a virtual venue for artists of all kinds. They have great local music, plus the high quality stream makes for an amazing show on my big screen. Make your couch time rock and see a show at the Spaceship.tv today. The Spaceship.
I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. Students, staff, and faculty at University of Virginia are shocked and grieving after 3 members of the football team were shot and killed, 2 other students wounded Sunday night. Head football coach Tony Elliott.
Feels like it's a nightmare, to be honest with you. And I'm ready for somebody to pinch me and wake me up and say that this didn't happen.
A fellow student, former member of the 2018 football team, has been arrested, charged in the attack on a charter bus that had just arrived back on campus following a trip to Washington to see a play. Christopher Jones Jr. faces numerous charges, including second-degree murder charges. Police in Moscow, Idaho, say 4 University of Idaho students were killed with a knife or other edged weapon in a targeted attack, likely early Sunday morning. While saying they believe there is no broader risk to the public, investigators provided no information about the evidence or why they believe the victims were targeted. I'm Tim McGuire.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
For Civic Media, I'm Jane Matnier with your headlines. After winning re-election, Governor Evers calling on the Republican-led state Senate to take action and give an up or down vote on the more than 100 appointees the governor has nominated to various state positions and boards. The GOP-led legislature has refused to hold confirmation votes for over 130 of the governor's appointees. Because of that inaction, members of state boards have continued serving even though their terms have expired, and that's allowed Republicans to maintain a majority on those boards. Among those, the Natural Resources Board and the state's Technical Colleges Board. Majority Leader Senator Devin LeMahieu responding to the governor's call for action, saying many confirmations go to committees. He said, quote, if these different confirmations are qualified and our caucus can get behind them, we'll confirm them, unquote. You're listening to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM, WTTN, 1580 AM.
Such a nasty
trust
woman.
fund.
Think you know politics? Think again. Welcome to the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. And we welcome back to the airwaves, the glorious return to our buddy, the Don, Matt Flynn, fresh from a sabbatical in Sicily and all across Italy. Matt, A, we're both very envious of you, sir. And B, welcome back, man. How you feeling? Rested and relaxed, I hope.
I'm feeling good. Didn't have a bad meal in all of Italy. Surprise!
Oh, I bet.
Surprise! 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 So actually, I'm on two platforms here. I'm on here. Can you hear me this way or no?
Oh, we're hearing you twice, Matt. So only one's going to be necessary.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Still hearing an echo, Matt. I tell you what. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
How about now, Matt?
You're muted on Zoom, so my guess is your speakers are a little loud over there. You're just coming through the phone twice. If you unmute yourself, we'll have you.
Bye, Matt. we'll reconnect with our good friend Matt Flynn here in just a moment. Matt Flynn, fresh off a sabbatical in Italy and Sicily, Dom. Making people offers they couldn't refuse, I suppose.
I know, man, and it's gorgeous. You know, we went to go visit Izzy in Europe while she studies over there for her high school, or her freshman year in high school. She'll be back at the end of January. And then now Steph's got the bug. So, like as I mentioned, man, I'm going to hopefully get some good recommendations from Matt, and we'll be checking it out sometime into April.
You guys can hear me? Great.
Matt Flynn, can you hear us now?
Okay.
Welcome, Matt Flynn. Welcome back, Matt.
The eagle has landed.
All right, there. Hey, Matt.
Houston, we may have a problem.
It's good to be back, gentlemen. Good to be back. But Italy, I'll tell you what, we went to Sicily, Carina, Sicily, and then we went to Naples, and then we went to Rome and Florence. I'll tell you what, it was a great trip. Great trip. And it's tough to be back. I was gone for a while, but raring to go.
Man, didn't I see you on White Lotus on HBO recently?
You know, I had a ball. It was it was on a ship, and the funny thing is, I got to tell you guys, when I was in the Navy, we did one deployment in the Med, and I went to all these cities in the Navy. The difference was the food was a lot better this time, and I didn't have to stand the mid-watch. Okay, that was the difference.
Man, what was your reaction to the U.S. midterm elections? You must have been catching them from afar, and that's probably the best place to catch them from. But Matt, ultimately, the response, especially here in Wisconsin, split ticket. You see that one coming?
You know, I didn't. And the thing is, I'm close to these guys. You know that, Tony Evers and Mandela and the whole gang. And I did follow it over there. Believe it or not, their TV has improved, the reception on these ships. I was watching MSNBC, so I was seeing it pretty much in real time. And here's my view. I mean, Tony Evers done a good job as governor. He's the incumbent. And it wasn't a surprise to me that he could hold on because he hasn't made any enemies. Mandela, I was astounded how well he surged back. You know, he was down 5 points in the polls. And, you know, they blackened his face. They darkened his face in the ads and they slimed him. And he fought and clawed his way back. And I got to say, I mean, I think that's a young guy with a lot of leadership ability, and he's got to stay active. I was very glad to see that Josh Call won. I think right now it looks like Doug LaFollette's ahead still. That's a razor. I was very sad to see Brad Paff lose Ron Kine's seat.
Yeah.
But I was glad to see Jeff Smith win up in the Eau Claire area. And we held the fire line on things like the veto-proof legislature. So, there was overall good news, but frankly, we are the most gerrymandered state in the country. And our legislators, we put great candidates up, and there's nothing they can do. And frankly, until we change our Supreme Court, federal and state, and we have a race coming up for the state Supreme Court that would put it back in decent hands. I'm backing Janet Protasewicz, a terrific judge. We got to beat this Kelly guy, and we got to get that judicial seat. So these are the random thoughts I had as I was sitting on a ship off of Naples. All right.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. We got our fine friend and host here on the Civic Media Network. He is Matt Flynn Direct. Matt is also the twice elected Democratic Party chair of the great state of Wisconsin. He was a gubernatorial candidate. And Matt, here's my question. Being sort of a political insider that you have been historically, did the DCCC abandon Brad Paff? I mean, I'm watching the outcomes, and be it Mandela Barnes losing by 27,000 votes, or be it Brad Paff losing, by 4% in a race where he was outspent 4-1. Right. It's easy to play armchair quarterback on Monday morning, right, or Wednesday morning, as the case may be. But Matt, is there blame to be cast? Shouldn't these races have been won?
Right. I hate to do the blame game because I want to unify our party, but I will say this that is obvious. The DCCC could have put in more resources in the 3rd Congressional District here. That charge has been leveled against them nationally. If they'd put more money into Ohio, it's possible that that's the Senate Campaign Committee, that Tim Ryan had a real shot there. As it turned out, Sherry Beasley in North Carolina and Val Demings in Florida, less of a shot, and yet they put a ton of money in there. Although I like those candidates and they were great candidates. But it's always possible after the fact to point the finger. And I agree. If we'd had a crystal ball, they would have put a ton of money into Ohio, less in North Carolina and Florida, and they would have put a ton of money into Brad Paff. But here, let me tell you something. There was a woman who won a race in the state of Washington that Jaime Herrera Butler, whatever her name was, lost in a primary to a Trumper. And this is a Republican seat. And everybody said, there's no way in hell our gal could win. You know how much money the DCCC gave her? Nothing. a goose egg, and she still won. So the thing is, the 3rd congressional district, I knew Al Baldus, I know Ron Kind, he's a friend of mine. I know Brad Paff, and that the fact is that the district has shifted. So I don't know that Brad was going to win under any circumstances in retrospect, but yeah, he could have had more money. No question. I contributed to him, but I mean, yeah, he could have had more money.
Always gonna have.
Didn't do it though.
I give
$500 didn't do it. Didn't do it.
I give it all away for just a little bit more. Matt Flynn, direct. Let me ask you this one. This one that always kind of gets me is when you have these incumbent Republicans running unopposed, thinking like Mike Gallagher, thinking Glenn Grothman. Is there no one to step up in those spots to, run as a D, martyr themselves, if nothing else, give other people perhaps a chance to a reason to come out and vote against perhaps Grothman? People maybe not like him as much. What do you think about leaving some of these Republicans unchallenged?
Yeah, I think it's a big mistake. When I was the party chairman, we fielded candidates in all 99 assembly districts and all congressional districts. We even went up and recruit people. We'd go up to people and say, do you want to run for, and the way you do it, and here's what I did, is I said to the local party chairman, if you don't recruit somebody, I want one of your officers to do it. The secretary, the treasurer, or one of you guys, just stick your name on the ballot. Because your relatives will come out, your friends will come out. It helps the ticket. The other thing is go to the young Dems. Young people love to do it, and they don't mind going on a kamikaze mission. Glenn Grothman was opposed by Danny Cole last time as a great candidate. That district is gerrymandered and very difficult. Gallagher was opposed by one of our candidates who was not, frankly, a strong candidate. She made a lot of mistakes. But that's a district in the Green Bay area that theoretically, I mean, Father Cornell held that district. We had other people hold that district. It's been gerrymandered, but my statement would be, go to the young Dems, have the head of the young Dems there, get on the ballot. It's exciting. Put a knife between your teeth and run into combat. But if you're not going to do it, then you better have the chairman of the Brown County Party do it.
Right.
Leave them uncontested. You can't.
Come on, man. You name dropping all these people get on someone's ass and tell them that should never, ever happen again. I can't believe it.
When's the last time you ran for elective office, Dom?
yeah, Evan, we need you as a candidate.
Hey, I tell you what, I'll run against Grothman if nobody else does. I promise you that, man. A couple of observations. Of course, 72% of women between 18 and 29, I believe it was, came out and voted for the Democratic candidates. I mean, that was a big push for the Dems. On the other side of this, turnout in the city of Milwaukee, hopefully, woefully disappointing. Matt, your thoughts on those two numbers?
The turnout in Milwaukee was very sad. It was like 30,000 less, and in the county. And everybody had hoped that Mandela being on the ticket would trigger it, and so it really did not. The sad fact is that Dane County sometimes turns out more votes than Milwaukee County, and we're a hell of a lot bigger. But you guys over there, you vote in these astronomical figures, and over here everybody yawns and walks around. I don't know what the answer is. I do know that people in Milwaukee, and it's not just the suburbs, but people in the city sometimes think, well, what does it matter? Because there are some issues in the 06 area code and a lot of others. But you're absolutely right. And Dane County turned out magnificently. Milwaukee County did not. I mean, if Milwaukee County had turned out in the same level, Mandela would have won. He would have won. But, they didn't do it. And if you're asking for a prescription, there's also within the African-American community different points of view about different candidates, quite frankly.
Yep.
And so there's a fair amount of that. I think that it takes a charismatic leader who is really catches people. When Obama ran, there was tremendous turnout. It was tremendous turnout. So, but I give you the point. There's no question about it. Madison did great, and Milwaukee did not do great in this one.
Matt Flynn Direct, I've got your remedy. It's this civic media network. I mean, Madison, people act all the time like Madison, it's just damn liberal blue. Well, it gets bluer all the time, Matt. And I'd like to think we play a part in that with Devil Radio. Right. And this little airway network, Dom and I have been on the airways for 11 years. You know what? The voting numbers in the last 11 years We get more Democratic votes now than we did total votes coming out of Dane County 20 years ago. So I think there is some correlation and causation, although I can't prove it.
We'll take it, though.
And Matt, I would also point out, Waukesha County and the WOW counties are starting to turn a little more purple. Well, we've made a 5-year commitment, including yourself, sir, to being on the airwaves in Waukesha County, Milwaukee County, Ozaukee County, and Washington County. Now, I'm not taking all the credit. There's hardworking Dems on the ground, knocking doors, doing all that stuff. But I'm not taking any blame, man. We are starting to change stuff. So when you start, man, Flynn, talking about the Fox Valley, Green Bay, Oshkosh, Outagamie County, these are major vote getters. And right now, these college towns, Appleton, I guess, has Lawrence, right?
Yep.
But Green Bay and Oshkosh are red cities, man. And every other blue city in the state is a college town. We can change that, Matt Flynn. You, my friend, need to be a part. And here's what I mean. The Matt Flynn Direct Show will be the lead-in to the greatest radio show ever. You're listening to that right now. But, Matt, starting tomorrow, you're going to be all across the state of Wisconsin, Madison, Milwaukee, the Fox Valley, all across the state. And, Matt Flynn, I need you to kick ass and take names on the airwaves and change some hearts and minds, man, because that is the only way, the only infrastructure that $300 million race left Wisconsin with was this radio network, Matt, and we're glad you're a part of it. And we welcome you back to the airwaves tomorrow, man. The Matt Flynn Show, Matt Flynn Direct, 3 o'clock right here on the Civic Media Network. Matt, glad to have you back, man. Wish I had some of that good Italian food in Europe.
Great to be back, my friend. Great to be back.
Well, Matt, I'll be tuning in for you right here on the Civic Media Network, all across the network tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And the Devil's Advocates, this big show, this one rolls on. More of us. And you on the phones as well, 844-967-2789. Matt, I'll see you on the radio.
Thanks, Matt.
Later, guys. See you there.
Go and tell that midnight rider, tell the rambler, the gambler, the backbiter.
And I love all people, rich or poor. But in those particular positions, I just don't want a poor person. Does that make sense?
You idiot, you fossil, you antiquated hack.
I get it. Is it safe? It's okay to have questions about COVID-19 vaccines. Now get the facts. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can.
Thanks. See you, Matt.
You by the Ad Council.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
I've been invited on Fox News. I accepted. We're going to take your favorite ideas for burning it down. Alan from Madison, what do you got for us?
At the end of the show, you should tell them you've got a new logo for Fox News. What you do is stand up, drop your drawers, turn around, and Fox is on one cheek, news is on the other, and below it you have We Fill the Void.
You know, I don't know if I got that kind of courage, Alan, but I love how you think, man.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstad at the Minocqua Brewing Company, and I am proud to introduce you to Choice, our new pink grapefruit-flavored hard seltzer. Choice was made in collaboration with Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin, and 5% of the proceeds from every can goes to support them and their fight for reproductive freedom. Choice Hard Seltzer tastes great and comes in at only 105 calories per can. Go to our website, MinocquaBrewingCompany.com, to find where you can buy Choice Hard Seltzer.
63 Americans a day die by gun suicide. By storing our guns safely, locked, unloaded, and away from ammo, we can give our loved ones a second chance at life. Learn more at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
Save the $2 on tomorrow's paper. Listen to the Devil's Advocates today.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines open for your take, as always, at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, we we always love hanging out with our buddy Matt Flynn Direct. It will return to the airwaves tomorrow, and there will be a lot of happy listeners. Man, I've been getting peppered since Monday. Where's the Matt Flynn Direct show? You promised us when Matt came back that Matt would return to the airwaves. I'm like, come on, man, let my guys program it. Give them a day or two. So Matt returns to the airwaves tomorrow, and I appreciate Matt's patience. I would have done it today, but didn't want anything going wrong on the back end. It takes effort to put a new show on the air. And we just rolled out Todd Alba. I don't know if you've been listening, but Todd Alba had Scott Klug right here in the Madison studios today, former Republican congressman. We have a diversity of guests here on the airwaves. And Dom, during the course of the elective cycle here in the state of Wisconsin, I cast some aspersions on occasion. In one particular occasion, I called Dan Bice a hack. You know, Dan Bice, columnist over at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. And the reason I called Dan a hack was because he wrote an article about Mandela Barnes, and God forbid he did an interview with Russia Today, back when Russia Today was actually considered a credible news outfit. Well, anyways, Dan Bice, now in the news, according to Bruce Murphy, our friend at the online daily urbanmilwaukee.com.
I know you're going to see that one, Crudy.
Journal-Sentinel columnist Dan Bice operates as a kind of a one-man dirt patrol looking to expose missteps and misdeeds by elected officials, which gives his pronouncements some weight. So it was noteworthy that his post-midterm roundup of election winners and losers included the Wisconsin Elections Commission as one of just 4 losers. I'd like to point out, Dom, before we move on in this article, one of the other big losers, according to Dan Bice, Righty Whitey talk show host Dan O'Donnell.
Dan makes a lot of people angry, so he might be doing something mostly right.
What, being a loser?
Well,
you have been
you like the Dan O'Donnell call, but you don't like the Russia TV call, right? So,
maybe it was Bruce Murphy calling Dan O'Donnell the biggest loser. Okay. I'll have to research that. I read so often, so I read everything, Dom.
Everything. My favorite Bible verse, all of them.
Bice did not explain how he reached his conclusion that the Elections Commission, did I get all this out? No, I interrupted myself. Damn it, Crudy. Stop interrupting Crudy. Here is the rest of what Murphy wrote. Bice blamed the commission, the Wisconsin Elections Commission, because 2 people helped expose shortcomings in the state's absentee voting system. It shouldn't have been that easy to get the fraudulent ballots, but it was. Now both incidents will serve as fodder for Republican lawmakers as they decide the fate of the beleaguered commission. As Murphy writes, Dan Bice, recently described as a hack by yours truly, did not explain how he reached the conclusion that the Elections Commission was at fault. It did not respond to a question from Urban Milwaukee, but if anyone is to blame, it would be the state legislature, which created the rules for the bipartisan commission, made up with 3 Republicans and 3 Democratic appointees, and whose current chair is Republican Don Millis, an appointee of Assembly Speaker Robin Voss. As Democratic opponent Ann Jacobs noted in an interview with Urban Milwaukee, the commission follows state statute. The legislature has made decisions on how we are to allow people to accommodate absentee ballots. And Tom, I don't know if you're aware, but the U.S. military members here from the state of Wisconsin are not required to present a voting ID.
Right.
They were accepted by Republicans. And why would they do that? Because, of course, they want to make it easy to vote and hard to cheat. Why that exception for members of the military? Well, of course, it is their perception that the military leans Republican, Dom. But that opens a couple of, little gaping holes that you can then blame on the Wisconsin Elections Commission. A little bit more here from Murphy's writing. The idea that military voters might be cheating in elections is a new one, and there's no proof of this. I don't know of any military ballot where fraud occurred, according, again, to Ann Jacobs, who has been on the committee since 2016. The WEC does annual reports on election fraud, and the total number of incidents of any kind is tiny. But if there ever was to be fraud by military voters, that would be because a Republican-led legislature whose leaders were gleeful about photo ID requirements. How do we know? Just ask Todd Alba Our host, he was in the freaking caucus room. He was Dale Schultz's chief of staff. I think he made this point publicly. Chris Hayes show and other places. Anyways, a little bit more. So the Republicans created the photo ID requirements, because they wanted to suppress the votes of urban minorities and college students, and made no such requirements of military voters. They're not required to register before voting in an election, and they do not need to provide proof of identification or residence to request an absentee ballot. Do you get that? You don't have to register. You don't have to give voter ID. And you don't even have to what? Give proof of residence. I mean, if you want to open the floodgates to fraud on a very minuscule level, because it's not even that many people, but, from this thought process that someone's always trying to break the election, someone's always trying to steal it. Well, you left the floodgates wide open for the military. See the example of the Milwaukee Elections Commissioner that requested 3 fraudulent absentee ballots. And how do you get these ballots in false names? Well, that's not a requirement. You don't have to be a registered voter. You don't have to prove who you are. Why? Because the Republicans wanted it that way.
And why would the legislature relax its draconian rules for military voters? ? Because they tend to lean Republican and have always been seen as a boon to GOP candidates. Bice, who's been covering politics for decades, surely knows this, Murphy writes. So why was he blaming the Elections Commission rather than the legislature? And one more crudy, the other example, Harry Waite, the leader of Racine County base group that promotes false claims of voter fraud. Waite posed as Voss and Racine County Racine mayor. Corey Mason requested their ballots in order to show violations of law are possible. Certainly it's possible to do this, but had anyone ever done so prior to Waite? Again, Jacobs could recall no example in the WEC's annual reports on fraud. The reason is obvious. After falsely requesting 1 or 2 or maybe 3 ballots, you were going to get discovered and charged with criminal penalties, Jacobs notes. Waite was charged with 2 counts of misdemeanor election fraud and 2 counts of felony identity theft and could face up to 13 years in prison. After Waite publicized his action, the WC voted to send postcards to more than 12,000 voters who requested absentee ballots to address other than what's on file to verify no one had falsely requested a ballot in their name. Not one voter reported that this happened.
Dan Bice, election loser, hack. I know I've been accused of being blunt in my assessment sometimes.
Yeah.
If I'm a little too blunt, just compare me with Matt Flynn Direct. You can start tomorrow about 3:00. He'll join us on the big show. Todd Alba playing on the out markets, 8 to 11 a.m. If he's not playing in your market, get the Civic Media app. Give him a listen. He's pretty damn good. Come back. This show, better than pretty damn good. Devil's Advocate, some say greatest radio show ever. The Happier Happy Hour is next.
You need ID. I'm proud to tell you that was actually my sick idea.
This is Chad Spate. In 1992, I moved to Madison to pursue a PhD at UW, and I started a residential remodeling company called Chad's Carpentry. I was eager to make a difference, to change the world, and I soon realized that our remodeling company was a great place to start. We pride ourselves on understanding how houses work so that your home improvement project actually improves your home, and we love what we do. To learn more, go to chadsdesignbuild.com, and thank you, Madison, for 30 great years.
Salvatore's Tomato Pies, home of Madison's best farm-to-table pizza, is hiring. We are seeking line cooks, prep cooks, dishwashers, pizza makers, bartenders, servers, delivery drivers, and hosts. Sal's offers great pay, free shift meals, paid time off, and health insurance available for those working 30 hours a week. Students are welcome too. Positions available at all locations, Madison, Monona, and Sun Prairie. Stop into any location for an immediate interview or apply online at Salvatore's Tomato Pies.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus, W224 EG Madison, always streaming on the Devil Radio app.
AP News, I'm Tim McGuire. Russia sent a barrage of missiles into Ukraine. While some hit energy facilities, others hit apartments and other buildings and residential areas of several cities and towns. Also reports of missiles crossing into NATO member Poland about 15 miles from the border with Ukraine, killing 2 people. NATO officials say the reports are being investigated. Pentagon spokesman Brigadier General Pat Ryder.
When it comes to our security commitments and Article 5, we've been crystal clear that we will defend every inch of NATO territory.
Russia's defense ministry denies being behind any strikes on targets near the Ukrainian-Polish border, claiming photos of purported damage have nothing to do with Russian weapons. The barrage also affected neighboring Moldova, knocking out a key power line that supplies the small nation wedged between Ukraine and Romania. Both political parties in the Senate are gearing up for leadership votes after the midterm elections. Ed Donahue has this.
With Democrats remaining in the majority, Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is celebrating the midterm results.
We had a great, happy, and spirited discussion in our caucus. Democrats are ready and eager and united.
For the Republicans, Florida's Rick Scott is mounting a long shot bid to unseat the minority leader, Mitch McConnell.
I have the votes. I will be elected. The only issue is whether we do it sooner or later.
Scott's unexpected challenge to McConnell comes as Republicans are wrestling over a lackluster performance in the midterms when the party out of power historically sees significant gains. Ed Donahue, Washington.
House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy, nominated by his caucus for House Speaker, now faces several weeks of trying to shore up his support from an onslaught by the right wing of the party. Republicans are likely to have the majority in the House, but only by a few members, making it even more difficult for the would-be Speaker to deal with any uprisings in the GOP ranks. This is AP News.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
We're all looking for things to be a little easier in our lives, and efficiency and organization are keys to success. For more than 16 years, Easy Office Products has been a high-quality local option for businesses, nonprofits, and home offices. Woman-owned and community-focused, EasyOP has everything you need to keep your office running smoothly. With great customer service and local delivery, the team at Easy Office Products is here to serve you. Visit easyop.com, that's the letters EasyOP.com, or call today 608-310-4300 and tell them Devil Radio sent you. So all you folks out there, if you haven't registered to vote, register to vote, get ready to vote. There are so many things on the ballot this November at our freedom, our liberty, and our way of life. But we'll get to all of that this evening.
The Paul Revere Show with Mark Thompson. Listen Mondays 7 to 8 p.m. always on the Civic Media app.
I'm Pat Kreitlow from Up North News. On an earlier edition, we talked to 3 women, med students, about whether they're going to stay in Wisconsin to practice medicine.
All this Roe v. Wade stuff, and now OBGYN's hands are so tied. I don't want to go through 12 years of training to have some person that didn't do training tell me how to do my job.
It is not a binary choice, you're for or against abortion. It is a healthcare decision. We all have those stories, and people want to hear them.
Don't miss the real stories here on Up North News.
My Shiro always goes the extra mile, stretches every dollar, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. Get free tips to help boost your retirement savings now at aceyourretirement.org.
Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
For Civic Media, I'm Terry Bell with this news. Sentencing begins today for Darrell Brooks Jr., the man convicted of killing 6 people and injuring dozens at last year's Waukesha Christmas parade. Brooks will be sentenced on 6 counts of first-degree homicide, which carry a mandatory life sentence. The judge can use her own discretion on 70 other counts. About 3 dozen victims and loved ones are speaking in court. Governor Evers is asking the Wisconsin State Senate for up or down votes Governor Evers is asking the Wisconsin State Senate for up or down votes on 130 appointees nominated to various state positions and boards. The Republican-led legislature has so far refused to hold confirmation votes. In many cases, GOP appointees are holding majorities on some boards even though their terms have expired. You're listening to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM, WTTN, 1580 AM.
Devil Radio programming is produced live in the Solidarity Realty Studios. Find them at solidarityrealty.com. Solidarity Realty. There is a...
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. 3, 2, 1. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, a Trump announcement Tuesday. Going to happen within a couple of hours. A primetime extravaganza from Mar-a-Lago. I know you'll be glued to the boob tube, Dom, right?
No, what? No.
Where would you even find the coverage? I mean, maybe Newsmax? I mean, Foxy News kind of turning on Trump.
No, Crudy, I will not. I will not be watching. I have drag queen bingo at Lakefront Brewery tonight, so I'm gonna go have some fun with a bunch of friends. I have some beer and food and play bingo with the drag queens. So it'll be what it'll be. Who gives a damn, man? I hope nobody's covering it, man. I hope they don't cover it. Who do you think will cover it, Crudy?
Not us.
No, we're not. We're not going live. We're not carrying.
We're not
live.
carrying the Trump announcement live. I make you that assurance. There will be no special announcements. Nothing other than some laughs, some giggles, perhaps. Dom, while Trump is soon to squander any hopes for Herschel Walker to win election in Georgia in the special, because on December 5th,
Republicans to win in 2024. But please continue.
That would imply that he would actually win the nomination, which he might. But the Republicans picked their leadership in the House today, and they made the audacious move of electing Kevin McCarthy, the caucus chair, by a vote of 188 to 31, although it was secret ballot. And Kevin McCarthy is not exactly embraced by the Freedom Caucus, let's call them, Andy Biggs and the crew.
Right.
The very insurrectionist-y sorts, Dom. Well, just because he won the caucus vote, that's 188, he needs 218 to be speaker. Right now, Republicans have 270, and the expectation is they're going to end up low 220s. He could have 3, 4, 5 defections across the entire House from the Republican caucus because he ain't getting no Democratic votes. So he could bleed maybe 4 or 5 votes. 31 voted against him to be the caucus chair.
He's going to have to do some wheeling and dealing, baby.
They were doing some wheeling and dealing today just to get to this miserable vote count.
Yeah.
There's dissent in the party, Dom.
You think, Curdy, is the Republican Party in disarray? Because the headlines I am seeing right now, and just bear with me, we talked about some of the Wisconsin Republicans in the last hour.
Paul Farrow not running for re-election as the party chair here. Going to
in the state of Wisconsin, correct?
Job, re-election there.
And
then what
Scott
else?
Fitzgerald.
Well, Scott Fitzgerald is all down for DeSantis. Where's the loyalty,
man? They got the DeSantimonious fever, man. They're all about it. So not only in the state of Wisconsin, and Grothman as well, all talking about DeSantis, right? What else was there? Oh, yeah. On the Senate side, Rick Scott announcing a challenge to McConnell. So now we got that going on. What? I mean, this was supposed to be a blowout, right, for the Republicans, and it was not. And they are in trouble.
Well, Dominic,
what else?
while you talk about Senate minority leadership in the state of Wisconsin, congratulations to Melissa Agard. She was elected by her colleagues, I believe, earlier today. Melissa, a friend of this show.
Other headlines, and again, just the headlines here. It's just to give you a little flavor. Top Arizona Republican calls for unmitigated disaster Kelly Ward to resign. Things aren't going so great in Arizona, huh, Republicans? Oh, here's another one. Republican governor wonders why politically weak Trump is still announcing after GOP, quote, got crushed. So they deserve every bit of this. This is all of their own making. This is all on them, and they deserve it. And so I hope the Dems can keep their act together. I saw Senator Chuck Schumer on Rachel Maddow last night. He's got a little spring in his step. Hell, they may even pick one up, Crudy. So as the peak of the Republican mega party, when Trump started it, they have been losing ever since. Trump is a loser. He's a big loser. That's why he always talked about winning, because the narcissist, he kind of addresses it. He knows he's a loser. Deep down, he knows he's a loser. And now the world knows it. His political picks, his leadership, it's all losing. They have lost since he became the head of that party, and they continue to lose. And now they're eating themselves up over it. And I got to tell you, it's glorious. Pass me the popcorn.
Election denier Carrie Lake has lost in the state of Arizona to the Democrat Hobbs, our understanding. Yep. She's out there, calling for a recount already, Dom. It's going to get ugly out there, I suspect. And we will get to your phone calls today. Looking forward to talking with you, our fair audience, at 844-967-2789. But, Dom, I'd like to bring a little coverage of the Republican senatorial infighting from CNN. Chris Cillizza. Why Ted Cruz is lashing out at Mitch McConnell. I don't know, Dom, but I like it. Here is what Cillizza writes. Ted Cruz went ham on Mitch McConnell on Monday. Mitch would rather be leader than have a Republican majority, Cruz said on his podcast. If there's a Republican who can win, who's not going to support Mitch, the truth of the matter is he'd rather the Democrat win. Which, well, whoa! Cruz has also been a part of a small group of Republican senators pushing to delay leadership elections. Who else? Ron Johnson from our backyard. They're scheduled to take place tomorrow, Dom, the Republican senatorial leadership elections, until after the December 6th runoff in Georgia. On Tuesday, Cruz said it would be utterly insane to hold the leadership elections before there was a post-mortem on the midterm elections, which led to Democrats keeping control of the Senate. I believe we should have a leader that actually listens to the conference and that is willing to stand and fight, doesn't roll over immediately, Cruz said.
Not immediately.
Aren't you the guy that got on a plane to Cancun and then came immediately back?
Are you the guy who allowed Donald Trump to insult your wife to such a degree that everyone mocked you for it? You're talking about.
Well, she had to be removed from the RNC crowd in the Quicken Loan Center in Cleveland for her own protection, Dom.
We were there.
Talking about Heidi Cruz. A little bit more here. I believe we should have a leader that actually listens to the caucus and that is willing to stand and fight, doesn't roll over immediately. Our current leadership believes the way you win elections is that you don't stand for anything. You don't have an agenda. You don't have a plan. Instead, the only thing you stand up and say is, well, I'm not a Democrat, so vote for me. You know what? Election day showed we need to be more than just not a Democrat. Yeah, but what you stand for is god awful, Ted Cruz. I mean, both you personally and as a party, but you specifically, Ted Cruz, if you told people what you stood for, you wouldn't even win Senate election in the state of Texas.
Crudy, how to explain Cruz's rhetoric about McConnell? Easy, writes Cillizza. It's politics. Cruz has made no secret of his political ambitions. He finished as runner-up to Donald Trump in the 2016 Republican presidential primary.
Dom, I'd like to think you put the nail in his coffin in Ishawaka, Indiana.
Oh,
the handshake of death.
Slimy hands after he accosted everybody at the diner. Desperate, wanting so many votes, and it was just bad. Anyway, Cruz. Cruz had made no secret of his political ambition, as mentioned. He finished as runner-up, as the runner-up to Donald Trump at 16 Republican presidential primary. Although he and Trump ended the race on acrimonious terms, that's how Trump ends every relationship. Trump falsely alleged that Cruz's father might have been involved in the assassination of JFK and attacked his wife. Cruz eventually endorsed Trump and became one of the former president's most stalwart defenders in the Senate.
He was literally willing to lay his career on the line. He was part of the procedural coup d'etat. He objected to the electoral count in Arizona, Dom. That Ted Cruz.
Oh, man, give me some power. Chop it up, slice it down. I don't care if it's stepped on, snort that stuff up, because I will take as much as Donald Trump can give me. Because that's what it is, man. That's what it is. The lesson Cruz learned in that evolving relationship with Trump is that the Republican base absolutely loves the former president and has zero interest in a candidate who opposes him. Whether that calculus has changed since a disappointing midterm election result for the Republicans remains to be seen.
I don't think it has. The base loves Trump.
But see, this is the great thing, though. Now we see the representatives, right? The Fitzgeralds and Cruz and Ron Johnson, some of these folks pushing back. And there's a lot of legal news coming up right now with Donald Trump before his announcement today. So if the base is disconnected from their leadership, I mean, so the Republicans themselves are in disarray and now they're going to, disappoint half or more of the base? Good luck getting anything done when an election ever again, so long as you keep smoking the Trump.
It's a hell of a drug, Dom. Trump has been unrelenting in his criticism and bullying of Mitch McConnell in the wake of the midterm elections. It's Mitch McConnell's fault, Trump wrote in a post on his Truthy social website after Democrats secured control of the Senate. He blew the midterms and everyone despises him. And as CNN recently reported, Trump is pressuring his allies to blame McConnell too. In phone calls with allies, here's the reporting apparently of CNN, in phone calls with allies, elected officials, and incoming members of Congress, the former president has accused McConnell of spending recklessly in states where Republicans faced significant headwinds at the expense of candidates in more competitive contests. I'd point out, Trump raised grandiose amounts from small donors.
He sure did.
Shared barely any of it.
Yeah, of course not.
A little bit more here. Cruz then is simply following Trump's instructions. He knows, because he can count, that no one's going to beat McConnell in the election for Senate Republican leader. But that isn't what really matters to Cruz. What does matter is virtue signaling to the Trump base that he thinks McConnell has done a poor job and that he is angry about it. Why, Dom? Because Ted Cruz is going to gobble up that Trump supportive base? You know, before there was Hang Mike Pence, I swear to God, Ted Cruz, you would have been the target. And that's just in your own household.
The last paragraph from Solici's piece on CNN.com. Cruz could well be angling to be in the vice presidential mix if Trump winds up as a GOP nominee in 2024. Either way, Cruz is placing a bet that being firmly in the Trump camp rather than McConnell camp will pay future political dividends for him. Yeah.
Come back with us. Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Your calls are next. Andy, be patient. You're first in the queue. Get in line behind them. 844-96-PARTY.
We have a lot of great announcements over the next 24 hours.
Did you ever call that girl? Of
course I did. Catching up after work.
Guys, this round's on me.
What?
You said that? You really said that?
I mean, you should have just seen that. Like, you should have been. Getting back to the moments we miss starts with getting informed. Get the latest info about COVID-19 vaccines at getvaccineanswers.org. It's up to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates.
The Republican Party on a national level, how many years did they investigate Hillary and Bill? They're still going to that. duty. So
They're still looking for emails, right? But they don't look in the Trump septic tank for half the top secret classified documents that he was flushing during his term. When one party doesn't care about governing, just don't allow anything to happen when the Democrats are in charge, and then they think the American people are going to get boonswoggled into voting Republican again.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
Hi, everyone. Al Roker here. As a guy with his own catchphrase, I appreciate that Smokey's only said,
"Only you can prevent wildfires."
But I'm filling in because there's a lot more to report. Like when there are parched or windy conditions out there, you gotta be extra careful with things like burning yard waste. After all, wildfires can start anywhere, even in your neck of the woods. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates know how to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and we're all out of bubblegum.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines are open. Going to go there right now at 844-967-2789.
Tom, less than 2 hours to the big Trump announcement in Mar-a-Lago. My only question, will Melania be standing by his side while they wheel in an escalator for them to come down together, a golden escalator, start descending into hell style?
Oh, my God.
Who else do you think will stand with Trump tonight? I hear even party dude Matt Gaetz won't be at the big Trump announcement.
Oh, no.
I bet you MTG will. She's expecting big things under this new House leadership. She might get her committee assignments back, Tom. 844-967-2789. A very patient Andy from Beaver Dam. How's it going, buddy? Welcome back.
Hey, Andy.
Not too bad. Well, first of all, Matt Flynn is getting his rightful place back for listening. I mean, he pulls in a lot of callers even at dawn in the morning, and having him on after as a lead-in to you guys is, a smart move on Civic Radio. I think it's really going to perk things up.
That'll be a powerhouse lineup second to none in America.
Oh, yeah. 3 hours of solid stuff. The other thing is, I was myself surprised at the apathy of voters to close the book on the Barnes loss. I thought, Obama shows up, you guys are there on Saturday, you and Earl and everything, and I don't know what would have helped to perk up the voter turnout.
Well,
for,
Andy, it maybe if Democrats were perceived to deliver for African-American voters, they wouldn't have so much convincing to do. I mean, if you voted Democrat in every presidential election and you gave power, and from most people's perspective, Andy, the Democrats have been in charge. And from a lot of people's perspective, the Democrats didn't deliver. And what they did deliver, they didn't really tell people about. They kind of kept it quiet. And they bemoaned the fact they couldn't deliver more. But Andy, the Democrats did deliver a lot. But other than a black Supreme Court justice, I'm not sure that was perceived, Andy, in the African-American communities. I'm not going to pretend like I know better, but I'm going to tell you, Earl saw the investment in the ground game going on in Milwaukee. It wasn't
Absolutely.
Like the voters got neglected. The doors got knocked. So if the doors got knocked and the conversations were had and people still didn't turn out, well, then you got to look at the candidates.
Right. The peanut butter sandwich didn't cut it. And you
cut your peanut butter sandwich, Andy, I literally will diagonally cut my PB&J. But a point, I don't know if we've made it on the air, but even my son raised it to me. Ron Johnson's re-elective campaign raised it to me. But the greatest issue I heard in the whole campaign cycle was the fact that Mandela Barnes made a sloppy peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and he did not clean his knife off before putting the peanut butter knife into the jelly jar.
I mean,
my teenager brought it to my attention.
I get it. There's people that are, allergic to peanuts, and that can be deadly for them. I can appreciate that. Don't eat the jelly in my house. So,
but there is a plan, Doug. You take that peanut butter knife and you wipe it on the spare piece of bread.
It wasn't the peanut butter that made people not show up in Milwaukee. It wasn't the peanut butter that made Mandela lose the Fox Valley, man. I don't buy that, dude. I don't buy that one bit. 844-967-2789.
Maybe it wasn't specifically the peanut butter ad. And, I half tease about that. Although
of course.
It was bantered about. It was incongruent to the mind. People that make a clean peanut butter sandwich didn't like that ad.
I can't. Really? And what is the people that make a clean peanut butter sandwich? What's their voting preferences, generally speaking, in the Wisconsin elections?
Diagonal cut peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
I only diagonal cut it if I'm really, really spoiling myself.
Here's my point. Mandela's getting lambasted for being black. Ron Johnson and all his allies are running racist ad after racist ad.
Well, thank you. That had an impact. Yes,
and the response from the Mandela Barnes campaign was peanut butter sandwiches made with a dirty peanut butter knife. The response was insufficient, regardless of whether or not it was a dirty knife.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Kurt, you may have a better recollection than I. I thought the peanut butter ad was prior to those ads coming out from Ron Johnson.
Well,
the darkening of the skin ad.
The darkening of the skin ad was actually the Wisconsin GOP in a mailer. That was the darkening of the skin, the whatever, it's not the first time it's happened against a black political candidate. But when you talk about the peanut butter and jelly ad, the coming out of the primary, Mandela Barnes' campaign had a lot of momentum. And we know the Democratic field effectively got out of the way. And, that's other people's choices. I wouldn't have done it in the same way, but I wasn't in the race. But Mandela's team came off to me as very flat-footed in response to these very racist-tinged ads. And he was characterized, and it was over and over and over. And I pointed out, Tom, I was driving all around the state. It wasn't just on the television. What I often think is the cause of Democratic demise late in the race, why they fade, is because the repetitious nature of radio ads bought by the Republican Party. I pointed out, Ron Johnson bought ads on our radio network, and I couldn't refuse it. And
could not refuse it during
I could
a political season.
Refuse a political ad from the Johnson campaign. In fact, they bought multiple flights. Mandela's team never did. And I'm just one little radio network, right? There's lots of radio stations all across the state of Wisconsin. During the primaries, Tim Michaels was filthy on right-wing talk radio and country and everything else. Less clear to me, less obvious that they were up on the radio in the same way during the general. But Mandela's team never answered. And Johnson's team and the NRSC, the Republican Senatorial Campaign Committee, they were filthy all across the state, man.
So it wasn't the peanut butter jelly sandwich?
Thousands and thousands.
It wasn't the peanut butter jelly sandwich.
There was no response except the peanut butter and jelly sandwich ad, which I found insufficient because the knife had peanut butter. Come back, more devils.
Maybe sit the next couple plays out.
A progressive voice in rural Wisconsin, WTTN 1580 AM is South Central Wisconsin's home for Devil Radio.
Do you want Wisconsin to suck? I don't. That's why you're listening to me now. I'm Hawk, owner of Hawk's Bar and Grill. Come to Hawk's on State and tell them you're there because the devil sent you. Then, I can spend more money on ads and help Devil Radio keep Wisconsin from spiraling into post-apocalyptic Republican suckage. I mean, that's Iowa's job. Buy a round of Hawks and save Wisconsin one drink at a time.
Suck down drinks so we don't have to suck.
Okay.
Do you work from home, run a business, a nonprofit, or just need to organize? If so, don't miss Jackson Office Supplies going on a business sale now, where all items are 70 to 80% off. Can't miss deals on essential desktop items, including label writers, 3-hole punches, pens, markers, and ergonomic accessories. Great brands too, like Eldon, Rogers, Rubbermaid, Dymo, and more. Sale starts now at Jackson Office Supplies, 4622 Femrite Drive, Madison. 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday, or call 608-628-40.
I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. In Russia's biggest barrage yet against Ukraine, energy sites were hit along with apartment buildings and other residential areas. There's word that some of the missiles crossed into Poland, killing 2 people in that NATO country. Brigadier General Pat Ryder at the Pentagon says they're working to confirm the report. He adds,
when it comes to our security commitments and Article 5, we've been crystal clear that we will defend every inch of NATO territory.
Polish media say the projectile struck an area where grain was drying in a Polish village about 15 miles from the Ukraine border. Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott says he's sending at least 1 bus of migrants to Philadelphia, continuing his plan to transport migrants by the thousands to Democrat-led locales. Unlike past efforts, Abbott did give advance notice of the arrival following criticism over previous buses that suddenly turned up in New York, Washington, D.C., and Chicago. I'm Tim McGuire.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before
This is Pat Kreitlow from Up North News and our new early morning program heard right here on weekday mornings, Up North News Radio. We're a small but scrappy state-based newsroom that covers politics and policy, but also other stories that show off our state, its people, places, food, and much more. You can find all of that on our website, upnorthnewswi.com, or on your favorite social media site. Just search for Up North News WI. Don't forget the WI and give us a follow. Then, from 6 to 8 a.m., we talk about those stories and much more right here on the statewide radio stations of Civic Media. We have guests, analysis, commentary, we talk music, sports, weather, and probably a few too many anecdotes about my time as a TV anchor, a state legislator, an island dweller, and now a grandpa. It's real information and good conversation that's unabashedly Wisconsin. That's Up North News Radio, weekday mornings from 6 to 8, on the radio, online, and on.
Malarkey. The devil's advocates invented malarkey.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Trump making a big announcement like 90 minutes from now.
He's turning himself in. He's going to acknowledge all of his crimes and begs for our forgiveness.
I take responsibility for everything.
Everything.
Dominic, just so people understand the urgency with which I was communicating with the campaigns in real time, he asked me to basically give you a timeline. Let me do so. 2 weeks after the summer primary where Mandela Barnes won, I sent a text message. I had not seen Mandela since the Saturday night of the Democratic Party convention. That was in June, Dom. Yeah. That's the last time I interviewed Mandela. You weren't even there. That wasn't even a regular show. That was a Saturday night special. So I texted Corey Kozlowski, the campaign chair. Hey, Corey, haven't seen Mandela since the DPW. Haven't seen any Mandela ads ever. At that time, I pointed out Civic Media is in Waukesha, Milwaukee, Madison, Wausau, Wisconsin Rapids, Stevens Point. You know, we're on the climb. I also pointed out we'd be in 10 markets by Election Day. Corey's response to me at that time, again, 2 weeks after the primary, when he's getting his ass handed to him, to my opinion, Corey said, "That's so weird. We've been flooded by text and emails from folks all over the state who have been loving all our ads. We'll certainly flag for our media teams." That was 2 weeks after the election. 5 weeks later, the first week of October, with no response from Mandela's campaign, I texted again. Hey, Corey, I guess the media team didn't get the memo. Love Mandela, but you've ceded radio to Ron in the NRSC. Now or never. And the answer was never. And they lost by 27,000 votes statewide. I can only lead them to water, Dom. I can't make them drink.
So it wasn't the peanut butter sandwich.
Well, it was the strategy of the Mandela Barnes Brain Trust, I would say.
Fair enough.
I don't agree with the strategy, including the peanut butter and jelly television ads. Nothing ever appeared on radio. Mandela ceded the entire elective cycle on the radio to Ron in the NRSC. And I know because I bought, more accurately, I cashed Ron Johnson checks. I cashed NRSC checks. Never cashed any Mandela Barnes checks. And it's not about the money, man. You know, it's not about the money, Dom. Not anymore. I'm not the funding source. Doesn't affect my paycheck one iota. So it's not a dog in the fight for the financial benefit sort
From
of
that end of it,
conversation.
Right.
This is purely about strategy of the Dems and leaving votes on the table over and over again. Man, we saw the Wisconsin Supreme Court hinge on a 5,600 vote margin. In the Hagedorn race, you know, Hagedorn, the deciding swing vote, only won that seat by 5,600 votes. We've got another election in the state of Wisconsin in like 139 days. I'm just wondering, and it's not going to be Corey Kozlowski. He'll be, you know, nursing his wound somewhere. I can't suspect he's going to be re-racking for another campaign right away. But there are lessons to be learned. There is a network that has been built. Use it or don't. I can't make you. But the failure to acknowledge that Republicans are kicking your ass on right-wing talk radio, I can only make the point so many times. At some point, you got to start blaming the Democratic Brain Trust for not listening.
844-967-2789. Calls are jamming up, so be patient, folks. We'll get to all of you. Wisco Paul, you're next. Welcome, sir. What do you got for us?
Thanks for taking my call, Devils. I agree with you 100%, Crudy, on the radio, and I've been preaching to the Democratic Party for quite some time, but it just doesn't sink in. So, you know, you're stuck with Rojo. Nobody should lose to Rojo. Nobody. It's unbelievable. That'd be like losing to, I don't know, McCarthy or something. Hey, can I switch gears quick to Nancy Pelosi, please?
Sure.
Is that okay?
Who's stopping you?
Yeah, yeah, okay. Well, I didn't know. It's kind of changing the subject. Anyway, the Megas tried to actually kill her on January 6th, and then they made her evil. Talk radios tried to make her into an evil lady, and then you have the incident here in San Francisco. Even a right-wing talk show goes so far as to sing, if I only had a hammer or whatever he did, which was despicable at the best. Do you think with all that's going on and her age, it doesn't look like she's going to be the speaker? Do you think she's going to call it a day? Because the Republicans have just been brutal to her. And
well, she just won. Paul, she just won re-election, and Nancy Pelosi ain't going anywhere. At this point, she's got a better chance of being Speaker of the House than Kevin McCarthy. 844-967-2789. Let's mix it up. Joe calling in from River West. Welcome, Joe. What do you got for us?
Hey, Joe.
Greetings. Hey, greetings, gentlemen. I have a very specific thing to say. And Trudy, I agree with you. I think that, Mandela didn't get his just due at all. I don't think the DNC supported him. And I'm going to say what other people don't want to say. It's because he was black. And the other thing is that I don't think the Wisconsin voters they didn't support him. I saw the racist ads, and they did not back him up. The DNC did not get behind Mandela the way they should.
Well, I would hate to make Jamie Harrison, the DNC chairman, is a black man. I mean, the DNC certainly is supportive of diversity amongst the Democratic Party. I don't think an exclusion was made because he was black. I just don't think the Democrats appreciate the fact they get their asses beat every time on talk radio. There's 81 outlets here in the state of Wisconsin, Joe, doing anti-Mandela work. And, there's us, but we can't do it alone. Ron Johnson was on right-wing talk radio 96 hours this year. Mandela was on our network 35 minutes.
Okay, so your argument is this. It's all due to the fact that he had lack of exposure on media. That's it?
Well, he didn't answer. When Ron Johnson goes on and talks for 20, 30, 40 minutes uninterrupted by the host, when he gets to weave any sort of narrative he wants to, and then he goes to the next town and the next town, and more accurately, he's just calling them, Joe, he doesn't even have to show up. He just calls it in. Show after show after show. And the Democrats don't answer with ads, and the Democrats don't answer with interviews. So he gets to set the entire perspective on one whole dominant media group across the state.
Okay, Trudy, you're not going to get an argument from me about that. You're not.
Joe, let me ask you. I appreciate your point. Let me just jump in here if I can. No doubt the racist ads had an impact. They certainly did. And maybe that was a big part of the Fox Valley and the out counties. I thought, that's why they run them, because all you need to do is shave off a few. But I don't believe that is why the city of Milwaukee underperformed to the degree they did, Joe. If Milwaukee showed up like they did last time, Mandela Barnes would be the senator right now. And I can't imagine it was because of quote unquote racist ads in the city of Milwaukee. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, well, Dom, let me ask you this. Why is it that the residents of the city of Milwaukee, predominantly, majority Black people that I work and live with every day,
Sure.
Why are they disinclined to show up at the polls? I think that is the question we need to be asking ourselves here. It's not about this other stuff. It's like, why are they not, showing up? And I want to take a step back. If you would just, indulge me for a moment. Going backwards, the idea is this. Why are they not showing up? Well, they weren't represented by Barack Obama. Barack Obama didn't really represent the Black folks. He was a corporatist Democrat. And if you really want to get down to the meat of the matter as to why Mandela Barnes lost by a razor-thin margin, it's because the Black people in Milwaukee did not show up to vote.
Joe, I'm gonna cut you short. A couple of thoughts. Barack Obama won like 58 of 72 counties in the state of Wisconsin in his re-elective campaign. If it's purely racism, the first time maybe he snuck through, hope he changed. The second time around, he didn't win re-election overwhelmingly in the state of Wisconsin because he was a corporatist Dem. That's not my belief. Now, why aren't we turning out Black voters in the state of Wisconsin for the Democratic Party? I don't know. Why aren't we turning out white working class voters, former union guys or current union guys that used to vote Democrat? Well, Scott Walker undermined the unions, but ultimately it's the lack of a message, an economic message that resonates at the kitchen table. That's what voters are left wanting. I'm not Ron Johnson. Well, I get that part. And Ron Johnson wants to do this. Well, I get that part too. What will Democrats, half these Democrats run on stuff they can't even deliver. They're not in a position to deliver what they talk about.
He talked about it a lot. That was it was his main message, man, was the working class. My brother Vince sent me something from prospect.org, and I want to just throw this out there briefly. The rural turnaround. Democrats have only begun to do better in rural America, but the roadmap is there. Let me just throw this out there briefly, and then we'll get back to the phones. 844-967-2789. Just the numbers here, just a couple of paragraphs. For decades, Democrats have been losing rural America by ever worsening margins. If they could perform even 5% better in rural counties, the political landscape would be transformed. In the 2022 midterm, Democrats did increase their share of the rural vote in several states, and it's worth exploring why and here. And I put this up on the Devil's Advocates Facebook page. It's a longer read, but check it out. And I think it's important. I think this kind of goes to the point of what we're talking about, at least one part of it. There's no one answer. I think there's a combination of multiple things. Here's the numbers. The recent history is appalling. As late as 1996, Bill Clinton carried nearly half of America's rural counties, about 1,100 of them. In 2020, Joe Biden carried just 147. In recent elections, Republicans have beaten Democrats in rural counties by a margin of about 47 points. Why the slide? Again, last paragraph. The core reason is that the few rural development policies sponsored by Democrats have been no match for the embrace of free trade and outsourcing by the presidential Democratic Party. As factories closed or moved offshore and entire regional economies collapsed, local people begged for relief, but little was forthcoming. In the absence of practical pocketbook help from Democrats, conservative cultural issues filled the vacuum, and voters shifted to Republican.
And the cultural issues were delivered primarily by right-wing talk radio with no answer. Not in this state, not until now. 844-967-2789. Call us. We'll answer. Next up, let's try Penny listening on KTNF 950 AM in Minneapolis. Welcome, Penny. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I wish you guys would listen to Tom Hartman's show today. Greg Polis was on, and he talked.
Penny, I'm sorry. I got to cut you short. I don't want to hear about other talk radio shows on the greatest radio show ever. Joanne from Madison, welcome. What do you got?
Hey, Joanne.
Great. Hi, great show. Just one note that nobody's brought up so far. Mandela is single. Single guys don't do well. Did you note Rojo's closing arguments? I'm a family man. He keeps stressing that. And those awful commercials where you get the single guy wandering around a grocery store alone looking creepy, those didn't help.
Looking creepy. He's buying milk, Joanne.
Oh, come on. Single guy's got to eat too, Joanne.
But again, why did Obama win? A gorgeous wife, beautiful, perfect kids, Hollywood treatment. Mandela has 4 years to find somebody who's or 6 years if he's going against for.
Yeah, maybe if he puts a ring on some of those liberal women, they wouldn't vote for Dems.
Well, that's the problem, Joanne, and I see your point. But if he married a liberal woman, and presumably he's not going to marry some right winger, but if he marries a liberal woman, wouldn't she suddenly, according to Jesse Waters' logic, turn into a Republican sycophant? Isn't that all women lack for, just a strong man to tell them what to do in life? That seems to be their theory.
That's definitely their theory. That's a salon piece. We talked about it at the 4 o'clock hour. Go check out the socials. You'll see it there.
Up around here, we appreciate nasty women of all sorts. You can join us. 844-967-2789. Don, when we come back, last run of calls for the day. We're going to do it speed round style. You can be a part. Bring it right now. Now's your turn. Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Just don't tell me about what other fine hosts. Not Matt, not any of them. None of them. Just want to hear about us. It's all about us.
If doctors, nurses, and grocery store clerks can wear a mask for 10 or 12-hour shifts, you can wear a mask for an hour or less when you go to the store. Do your part. Mask up, America.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Morning, Mama. How you feeling?
Great, and I'm ready for you today.
I'm checking in on you. Morning meditation?
Check.
Dressed and ready to work out?
Check.
Check your blood pressure yet?
And check.
Boom! Great job, Mom. And about those gold earrings?
No, ma'am.
Now more than ever, it's important that we protect our hearts and the hearts of those we love. Monitor your blood pressure daily and help each other stay motivated. Rally your squad to take the online pledge at releasethepressure.org. Brought to you by the Release the Pressure Coalition and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
Jake from Milwaukee, you get the last word this hour.
Okay, well, Trump is totally innocent. But it's obvious that George Soros, Nancy Pelosi, BLM, with Antifa, and then Hillary's emails, Hunter Biden's laptop, gas, high, Afghanistan, cut and run. I rest my case, Truth.
What about Benghazi, Jake? You forgot Benghazi.
I forgot Benghazi. I'm sorry. And Benghazi, I rest my case.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter. You've waited 12 years for this, but you just didn't know what the flavor was going to be. Nothing has tasted quite right up until now. Sometimes it tasted dumb, crazy, or even seditious, but now it tastes just right. Introducing Mandela Mash, a legit lager. This beer won't embarrass you in public. It comes in an aluminum can, not a tinfoil hat, and it was made in America, not Russia. With a clean finish, the taste doesn't lie. Mandela Mash, the only sane choice for U.S. Senate. Available only in Wisconsin. Go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com to find where you can buy this fresh new flavor of American democracy.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them?
By their clothes,
their age,
the way they speak.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates. Never personal, only politics.
And we're back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Last segment of the day. If you got something to say, hit us up right now at 844-967-2789. I want to send some love out to my friends, Rachel Rendy, listening in Austin on the YouTube channel. Thank you, girls. Love you. Look forward to seeing you soon.
You know, Dom, it was suggested that perhaps Mandela Barnes came up just a wee bit short because he's a single guy. Now, our fine producer Ebone just got married over the course of the weekend. Dom, I know you've been married going on 20 years. I celebrated 20 years in August with my beautiful Mrs. Crudy. But our pal Jeff, via the Facebook Messenger, had a few suggestions for Mandela. You know, if he's looking, he points out that Marjorie Taylor Greene's back on the market. Or Katie McEnany. She's got the Right Stuff app, right? Obviously, she must be single.
Well, wait a while. Melania Trump will be back on the market too.
Oh,
in
yeah.
6 to 12 months.
And he said perhaps he could convert Candace Owens. Or maybe Diamond or Silk, right? 844-967-2789. Let's go to the phones. I think Trucker Dean up in the Tomahawk area. How you doing, Dean?
Hey, Dean.
I'm doing well. Doing well. How you guys doing?
Good, man.
Good, man.
You know, you were talking about when things changed in the rural area. Well, I think, I don't know exactly the years, but I think Rush Limbaugh, when he started getting heavy into Wisconsin or Wausau area, we had Dave Obey up there. I mean, you couldn't yank Dave Obey out of Congress for nothing until he retired. And that was right about when Rush Limbaugh was getting heavy into the radio scene. So I think right-wing radio had a lot to do with that.
Well, Dave Obey certainly survived Rush Limbaugh's assault. Dave Obey survived, I believe Dom and I had him on the air as a recently retiring congressman in like 2014. Rush was on the air in 1990. He'd been on the air for 25 years.
Republican, right?
Tom
they're
Petrie.
Back then.
Petrie.
Yeah, Petrie. Yeah, talking about, the issues addressing Wisconsinites.
You know, it was quite different than Dean. Even the Republicans
it was
were moderate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, definitely. You could actually talk to somebody up there, but you can't talk to anybody up there now, really.
Well, Dean, we're doing what we can.
Past the Confederate flag flying in the front yard, man. I got to be honest.
Well, Dean, if you listen to WXEO Radio, Marathon County, Bull Falls Radio, as we like to call it, 98.9 FM. Got to think for a second. 12:30 a.m. You know, we're changing hearts and minds up there. One trip at a time. 844-967-2789. I see you, CJ, but you're stewing for a bit longer. Farmer Bill, nice seeing you at the Pink Floyd show that one night, man. Crazy. Shine on you, crazy diamond. How you doing?
Hey, Bill.
Holy crap. Wow, that was a life changer. Man, I did stretching, yoga, meditation the next day. It was like a total recalculation.
Yeah, for sure.
In a good way. I enjoyed it with you as well, and wow. But here's I can just tie right onto that last caller. Back in the 90s, I'm in school. Sure, I missed the Pink Floyd concert at Camp Randall, but there are billboards up. Rush, 1310, you know, and I drive down the street and I was like, who the hell is that? And so I turned the dial and listened to this and G. Gordon Liddy, and I was like, oh, you know, well, it kind of makes sense to me, right? Because you don't know anything at that age, you're just learning. But I here's my proposal. Just to cut to it. You're up in Oshkosh, you're Fox Lake, yeah, or you know, everywhere. It's so awesome, and congrats. But you gotta throw up a billboard. You gotta, you know, get the
Maybe
guy
we got
running
some
down the
billboards
road.
going on. We got some back of the bus kind of
You
stuff
do?
going on. Oh
You
yeah,
do?
little promotion going on up in the Warsaw area going on. Bull Falls Radio,
Okay.
3 billboards and 6 bus routes, I think. Come on, man. Don't tell me how to promote these radio stations. We'll get there. First, we got to build them all. I'm still signing leases on facilities. We're still hiring staff every day while we make the greatest radio show ever.
I know,
and,
dude.
you know, help overproduce turnout from Dim County. Dim County. We should rename Dane County to Dim
County.
You're
Yes, I like
welcome.
that. Absolutely. 844-967-2789. Bill, man, we're getting there, man. We're getting there. Be patient. Let's keep going. On the phones, our pal Tom from LA, the left coast. Hey, Tom, welcome back. What do you got for us?
Hey, Tom.
Hey, guys. First, we the people are the government, and we must never forget that. Second, I just have a question. Do you think that Ron Johnson's message of almost making Mandela into the younger, inexperienced, and talking about the fact that, yeah, his parents actually belonged to the union, but what did he do for work? Do you think that played into the idea that Mandela really didn't get a job outside of you know, out of politics?
Well, if you want to characterize your opponent as an out-of-touch politician, point out the fact he's never worked in the private sector. However, if you actually did the math, you'd realize Ron Johnson's basically been a U.S. senator about as long as Mandela has been a legislative person or a lieutenant governor. Of course, Ron gets to claim, well, I built this great company, you know, with my father-in-law's money that I was the only supplier for.
Just a gigolo, and everywhere I go.
But I felt like he Mandela really never answered back to him in terms of what it was that he actually did for work. I don't know if that was just we didn't see it out here.
He just has a lack of a traditional private sector resume, Tom. I mean, the guy basically went into politics. His other, claim to fame is community organizer, and of course, he didn't want to make that claim. So he talked a lot about his parents and his upbringing as a Wisconsinite. I'm not saying I had no fault and found no fault with the way that Mandela characterized his parents. And I thought the abortion ad from his mom during the primary, I thought was outstanding. I just don't know how they ceded the radio to Ron Johnson, etc. And I don't know why the only answer was a peanut butter and jelly ad. Time for one last voice. CJ, it's yours. Go quick.
Hey, CJ.
Well, hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call for a second anyway. He lost, and was he black? I didn't know that. I thought he lost because he worked for organizations that...
Okay, that was enough, CJ. Lost me already.
Organizations like what? The state of Wisconsin?
The legislature, Tom. You can't trust any people in the
Lieutenant
legislature.
Governor with Evers. Oh, my goodness. Not qualified. Never been in an executive role.
Thank you all for listening to what some call the greatest radio show ever.
It's true.
Others just want to tell us about other finer products. Like the Matt Flynn Show. Returning to the airwaves tomorrow. Matt Flynn Direct. Find it here.
You're talking about other fine
Lead
products
into
right
the
now.
Devils.
You're teasing them, man.
It's only because I got to thank him for being a guest and remind you to stick around for Native Roots Radio and then Busted Pencils, Educated Educators, Talking Education, right here. Keep it locked, Civic Media.
I'll get you next time, Gadget. Next.
Hey folks, Stephanie Miller here. As an enlightened progressive, you know how important it is to do business in accordance with your politics. That's why Solidarity Realty is